Thank you, madam. Now, let me open it up to you now. As a parent, what do you expect your student to become? Most of the parents think that they will end up with the good marks. But there's no parent who says, I want my student to be, my son and daughter to be a good person, good human being. See, today, in the complex world, as mothers, when we go to the kitchen, we are more concerned, how will I make my own sambar or my food? Bringing in all the constituents that we require to keep the immunity of the body system. A school has to do that, and the leaders are supposed to do that. I little differ from Mr. Francis Joseph. Everywhere, whether it's a small city, small village, a local school, to a zonal school, to a regional school, to a national school, to a global school, the perception of education remains the same. The focus of education remains the same. We need to prepare the dynamic children for tomorrow's world, not for today's world. That is remaining the most challenging one. Now, if anybody could give me a proper answer to this, a boy who does so well, a girl who does so well, through the process of school education gets to the best of the colleges. I remember a boy who got 12th rank in the IIT. My student who came back to me and said, sir, I want to retire from IIT in these 2 months of his collegiate education. Now, what success means to such children? And there are children who are committing suicide as a medical student, as an IITian. And what does it success means to them? This is what we have to see. A success is cannot be defined, is a dynamic perception from a local. So today, I may be a principal of a village school, but I don't underestimate a village school because there are a lot of strong players there, because a student anywhere is a student. How to remain and give the evolving role of a school leader in the pursuit of bringing success in the children. So if I put it in one simple thought, we need to educate the head, we need to educate the heart, and we need to educate the hand. This is what we've been speaking for the last 15, 20, 30 years. Now, we've also been talking about content establishment, and we move to the concept procedure. Today, from content to content, we have now moved to the competency building education. And where do we stand there? So I think as heads, we need to think on instructional leaders in us, transformational leaders in us, leaders who could think of guiding force, mentoring leaders in us. And I will tell you, ending up, if there is a good leader, his presence should not be seen and the school keep moving. And that is what the greatest leadership that we could see in today's world. And with NEP coming into force, I think we keep working now how we need to educate our teachers, our own system, how to bring forth a lot of thoughts into us, and that is where we need to do on. Now, I can throw away a lot of things like that, but let me condense it to tell you, as leaders today, we need to care on moral values, ethical values, we need to find, and that is also inspirational leadership. Maybe there is a boy or a girl who's not able to do well, we can isolate them. We need to bring in inspirational leadership, and strategic and operational leadership is what today much required. Learning focused leadership is also much required, and student-centered learning is also much required. And today, we need to bring in envision. Maybe we are always talking about vision, and we are not able to understand how to assess our vision, and that is what we call envision. Today, we need to be more focused for the next 15, 20 years. What education need to bring in, what type of transformation we could bring in our curriculum planning, and in so many other things. I also tell you, today when we are galloping in a very intellectual style, children are doing very well, but they lack discipline. They lack discipline. And when such values are deteriorating, where are we missing those concepts? How can we equip our own curriculum to bring in? Yesterday we were listening to the sustainable development. And how are we going to do that? And so many questions keep coming into us. And there is also a need for, sometime a boy wants to become an IIT student, he wants a medical student, he still finds it not doing well in the simplest of his communication. His courtesy is not developing. So I tell you, with a broader perception, we need to think how we leaders have to sit together and understand the local needs, the zonal needs, the regional needs, the national needs, and we also want to think how globally we could prepare our children when India is marching ahead. When we think in another few years we'll be a great world leaders, but we also think in terms of our children, how we could be very futuristic and bringing this role. So we may have, if time permits, we may have one more second round of thoughts that could be triggered off maybe from all of us once more.
So I would like to take the point where our moderator, Dr. Kishore, talked about where is education going 10 to 15 years from now. I think if you talk about student success, you must know way forward, not the current state of situation where we are. And here is the one story which I would like to share with you. As you will see that I am highly biased towards technology because that is my strong point. So always it's better to remain in your strong point and not go into other areas which are not very familiar. So we recently got a call from a very famous school in Delhi having 8,000 children plus, right? It's an iconic school. The principal and the director of the group of schools who was heading the education called me up and wanted to have a conversation with me about the introduction of these large language models or this ChatGPT, Bard, etc. And how do we go about it? Their fear was that education is heading in such a direction that almost everything you can ask ChatGPT, is there even a requirement for a school to survive, right? So what we suggested to them was that we will conduct a pre-knowledge survey. And we took only the high school students of that particular school and the teachers of that high school, who were teaching the high school students. Once the survey came, the school came back to us and said, very interestingly, they shared all the reports, 70 to 75% of the students knew how to use all these tools extremely well, whether it's DALL-E, ChatGPT, Bard, etc. They were using it extremely well. In fact, 2-3 students were even using it to craft text-based software for real-world applications, like C++. It was truly amazing how the students were using it. Then the flip side came, teachers. Hardly 25% of the teachers knew anything about ChatGPT, and this included even the so-called CS teachers. I mean, this is something they shared with us. So we discussed about interventions and how we should go about it. So we formed, like a complete webinar, a free webinar for that particular school. And we have taught about 75 teachers. That is intervention number 1. And we have given them a lot of free tools where they can go and learn this whole thing. I think it's important that this is done regularly, because how can a teacher catch a student? I don't mean catch, let me not use the word in a wrong way. Find out if the student has used ChatGPT to use, for a homework or for for any other thing, when they themselves don't know what ChatGPT is. So I think it is incumbent on school leaders. And I thought that I could see the vision of that principal and the director of academics by asking us to get involved. And then we asked, they asked me a second question, which is very interesting, like a corollary. What defines student success in the going forward? I said, tools like this are going to come 100, by the dozen. So we don't need to worry about it. I think things like problem solving, computational thinking, I think these are skills that we need to teach students in the future, because tools will take over. So a school where you want student success, there must be peer-to-peer learning, and where the teacher is more like a facilitator, and people should be able to solve problems. They must be able to think through computational action, and that's the only way forward is what we had proposed. They have agreed, and this is going to be now incorporated in their curriculum. So what I am sharing with you all is my personal experience with a school in India, and this happened 2 months ago. So I like to hand it over to Meghna.
So I think this is a great example, sir. So ChatGPT and AI are here to stay. That's great. So before that, I think screens have already taken over our homes. Now I'm looking at our internal survey that we have done with our school's parents. Tools are inevitable, screens are inevitable. What we at Meru, based on the survey and the feedback that the parents had given us, is they wanted more ways and means to connect to their children, especially in high school. As you all know, everybody is taken over by the screen and their own willpower at a certain age. And it becomes very difficult for a working parent or both the parents, and even if it's a stay-at-home mom, she's also working at home. So it becomes very difficult for them to connect. So we've curated programs in general as to how to break the ice between them, how to connect better with the child. So these things have really helped us at Meru to define success as a family, success as a human being. And this is the way we should move forward to tackle and balance ChatGPT, AI, or whatever is coming our way in the future. They're here to stay. And as parents and as schools, we have to build an ecosystem where we can actually tell the child and bring in the teacher on board to connect better. I think that's really worked for us here. And consciously parent and teach and inform everybody involved in the child's ecosystem and build events and happy events around the school system to ensure that the child gets attracted to human beings and connection more than anything. Technology's usage is inevitable, that we need to move forward and embrace it. But how we embrace it, how much to embrace it, how do we consciously parent the child as to how to move forward with technology is the true challenge. And we should keep at it by conversing, being consistent, and sharing examples, and ensuring all the school leaders, which includes the teachers, parents, everybody in the child's ecosystem, to be very well in. Thank you so much.
What I would like to say is, we have to begin with the end in mind. The end in mind is the student success. If we want the student success, what is it that we have to do? Work backwards. When we are working backwards, what is it that I have learnt as a leader? What is it that I've learnt as a teacher and finally as a leader? Is that what children need is empowerment. Once that empowerment is there, automatically they are even bringing in behavioral changes in their families and the impact in the society also.
Thank you, madam. Let me sum it up to tell you, as principals, as school leaders, as founders and correspondents and managers, let us only think that we need to understand the students, what they are, who they are, empower the teachers and provide them a wholesome education, whole child approach education. Nothing more than that can help us. And let me also add on what World Health Organization means about student success. They put it this as simple as this. They call it a set of psychological competencies and interpersonal skills that need to develop in the children. So let us also understand, when we go back to our schools, let us understand a stretch of scholastic activities, co-scholastic skills, extracurricular activities, sports, games, competencies, values, skills in appropriate proportion. If you could lead and understand whether we are aware of it or not, we will make it that it goes into them. Let's not only say what you do is not that important, but how do you do is more important. Understanding the length and breadth and the attitude and altitude of the children. Thank you very much for this wonderful session. I'll tell you, it composes the whole aspect of school education as leaders to take it further into the futuristic world of today's school education. Thank you.